Last year, my friends, I came across an interesting alcohol stove, a stove that included a tripod stand. While I have seen these type of tripod stands before, they are uncommon. It's because the stove included the stand that I decided to purchase it and give it a shot. By the way, the tripod system that I'm referring to is a product from a company called Mil-Tec. I reviewed this some years back. It's very interesting and it works with like Famgee and alcohol stoves. The thing is this, the product is virtually impossible to find in the United States. Even outside of the country, it is uncommon. Because of that, I've had my eyes opened, my eyes have been peeled looking for another tripod alcohol stove, because I really like that sort of setup. That's why when I saw this stove here, I was intrigued enough that I went ahead, purchased it, and I've begun testing it out. It has been roughly 6 months since I purchased it. I've been testing this out all winter long, and it is now time to share my thoughts concerning this stove. This is the Famgee Tripod Alcohol Stove, and this is my agenda-free review. When it comes to this alcohol stove system, there are 3 components. The first one is the storage bag/case. We have a zipper that goes across the top, and we have a sort of grab handle on the back. This is interestingly placed and not really that well thought out. It's not in the center, it's more on the side, so like when you pick this up, it doesn't hang proportionally because it's not in the middle. Opening this up, we have the stove and the stand, along with a few other components that I've added, such as a piece of tin foil as a windscreen and some matches. When it comes to the stove system, this is what I find to be so interesting. It's that tripod stand. You have the 3 pot supports, you have the 3 legs. These legs and the supports are locked into place. You have to push down and twist, and they lock into place that way. So again, push down, twist, push down, twist. To put the legs back, it's the exact same process, but in reverse. You push down and twist, push down, twist, push down, and twist. And again, these feet, these legs, these pot supports, they are locked into place. We have focused on the tripod support. Now let's focus on the stove itself. Right here, we have a lid, a cap. Then we have the stove itself. This is a double wall alcohol stove. The capacity is 180 liters, which is roughly 6 ounces. You can see here, we have the micropore spouts that go all the way around. There are 18 of these. It is these little spouts where the flames are going to erupt from once this stove fires up and gets primed. When it comes to the materials, we have a polyester storage bag. When it comes to the frame, the tripod supports, this is made from stainless steel. When it comes to the stove itself, we have a stainless steel outer and an aluminum inner, along with a stainless steel cap. As far as the weights go for this system, the stove with the cap is 4 ounces. The stand itself is 4 ounces, and this is 0.7 ounces. In total, you're looking at 8.7 ounces for this entire kit, minus the tin foil and matches. When the stove is stored, it is 3.8 inches by 3.3 inches. When the stove is set up from pot support to pot support, you're looking at 5.7 inches, and it stands 3.3 inches tall. As far as price goes, you were looking at a very impressive $14. Instead of doing a boil test with this stove, I'm going to jump straight to the review, starting with the pros, then moving to the cons. The reason for this is pretty simple. I have used this stove so many times on my channel. I've used it in so many adventures that you all have seen this thing perform over and over again in conditions of all types. Cold weather, warm weather, snowy conditions, so on and so forth. Because of that, let's skip the boil test and move straight to the review. The first pro that I have for this stove is value. For the money, this is hard to beat. This is a $14 alcohol stove that does perform well. It's fairly lightweight, and it includes a very unique tripod stand. The product is well made, and that's all the way around. The storage bag, even though it's somewhat cheap, is of a good quality. It's well made. There's no loose threads, nothing like that. When it comes to the stove, there's no sharp edges. All of the milling was done correctly. And when it comes to the stand, again, there's no issues. No sharp edges, no rough edges, nothing like that. When the stove is on the ground or on top of your platform, it is very stable when you have the legs unfolded. The stove itself is very simple, but yet very functional. One thing that I really like is the way that the stove sits inside of the stand. That way, when you're hiking with this, when it's inside of your gear bag, it's not shaking around, it's not moving around. Everything's staying put inside of this kit. By the way, when it comes to the storage bag, it's a little bit oversized, and that does give you some options. You can put some matches in there. You can make a windscreen out of tinfoil or whatever, and you can put it in there as well, in addition to the stove and the pot support. Next, everybody, when it comes to overall performance, it's not bad. This is an alcohol stove, it burns alcohol, and it performs like most alcohol stoves do. There is no alcohol stove that is out on the market today that's a rocket. Alcohol stoves simply do not work that way. So when it comes to performance, overall, it's not bad. You can bring 2 cups of water to boil in around 10 minutes. As far as the stove being efficient goes, it's as efficient as any alcohol stove. The fuel itself does not put out much heat. Burning alcohol with a stove is not a very efficient fuel. And these are some cons that you need to consider before going out and purchasing an alcohol stove. I have a video that's extremely popular. It's called The Truth About Alcohol Stoves. If you have any questions when it comes to alcohol stove systems, watch that video. It's going to sum everything up for you nice and easy. Moving over to the cons, my biggest issue when it comes to this stove system is the pot supports here. These are rather far apart. You really do have to have a larger size pot, cup, pan to work on top of this system. If you plan on using small cups, something like that, it may not work. Speaking of pots, pans, cups that work on this stove, they need to be at least 4 inches in diameter to fit on top of this. Anything smaller than that is going to be somewhat unstable, or it may flat out not work. Another con that I have for this stand is that it is proprietary. It works only with this alcohol stove and nothing else. You cannot use this with a Famgee stove or anything like that. It's this and nothing else. In my opinion, that's a missed opportunity by this company. If they had made this so that Famgee stoves work, Espit stoves work, they could have sold this separately. In other words, they could have been making more money, but they decided to go a proprietary route. When it comes to the stove itself, I do have a few cons. First off, there's no way to regulate the heat output. It's all or nothing with this stove. There's no regulator, nothing like that. Another thing is there's no wind block, so you will have to use your own windscreen in breezy conditions. When it comes to using an alcohol stove, it's all about taking that energy that's being released from the alcohol fuel and pointing it right at your pot. That is going to give you the best results. That is going to give you the quickest boil times, the best cooking experience, and so on. Not that many people are cooking on this, but you know what I'm saying. The last con deals with the pot supports themselves. They are somewhat slick. There is some jimping on here, and it does an okay job at best. With that being said, anytime that you put a pot, pan, cup on top of this, you need to be careful and make sure that it's secure, because again, the top of this is somewhat slick. That, my friends, is my review of the Famgee Alcohol Stove. All in all, for the money, this is not a bad system at all. 14 bucks, high quality stove. It works well, it gets the job done. You also get the stand, it's good quality, it does what it needs to do, and you get the storage bag. Again, when it comes to $14, the value there is very impressive. There are very simple alcohol stoves out on the market that are quite a bit more expensive than this here. But for 14 bucks, you get the stove, the stand, and the case. It's not bad at all. By the way, everyone, if you're looking for an alcohol stove that offers some serious performance, better than your typical alcohol stove, check out my review of the ever-new Titanium DX stove. Compared to most alcohol systems, it's a rocket. Compared to a canister stove, it is not. But most alcohol stoves, it's pretty fast. And with that being said, everyone, I am done. Comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this system? What do you all think about the components that you receive for the money? For the money. 14 bucks? That's impressive, everyone. If you found this episode helpful, hit the thumbs up before you go. I do appreciate it. Everybody, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now.